Hello and welcome back to the NFL DFS Breakdown for Week 3. I'm your host, Tyler Weeman. I'm going to be breaking down this wonderful week we have in front of us. And before we get into it, come join us at LineStar if you have not tried us out before. We do have the free trial option. You can get 7 days free. Gives you this whole weekend, gives you weeks 4 Thursday night football. Come give us a try. It's free. There's also no better value in the industry. $39.99 per month gets you access to all we do, the props, the DFS. You get it all for all platforms and all sports. Now, let's dig in a little bit to this main slate we got going here. We got a beautiful 13-game slate on DraftKings and FanDuel. It is one of the larger slates we'll see all season, as there's no international games, only one Thursday night, one Sunday night, one Monday night game, and everybody is playing. So we got a big one to go over. Now, I always like to start off by a little bit of a game overview or slate overview, if you will. Now, the highest game total of the day, without a doubt, is this Cowboys and Bears game, 50.5 over under. Outside of that, everything is, 44.5 to 41.5 pretty much. And so there is one clear environment from a game total perspective that probably pretty much everybody is going to be chasing. Outside of those games, some that do have some interest for other reasons as being faster paced games are New Orleans versus Seattle, and then the Raiders versus Commanders. And then the third fastest game is actually this Cowboys and Bears one. It doesn't happen all that often that the highest game total of the week is also one of the quicker games of the week. And we're going to get into that game a little bit more later as we get into it. But those are some of the game environments that we need to watch. Also, make sure you pay attention to what's going on in the injury reports. We have Jawan Jennings questionable. We have DeAndre Swift questionable. Those can definitely cause some changes throughout the day. Tucker Kraft. There's a bunch of kind of questionable guys that we're still waiting on. And we'll try to get into some of that as well throughout the show. Now let's get into the picks themselves, starting at quarterback. And with the high-owned spots, we're going to go position by position, starting with some high-owned guys and pivots for each spot, starting with Caleb Williams. Coming at 18% owned, he is in the game that everybody is going to look at. And I do like him once again. We've been on him the last couple weeks. He came through a little bit week 1, not so much week 2, but there's rushing upside. This Dallas secondary looks absolutely awful. They're allowing 301 yards per game to the quarterback, as well as 41 yards rushing. They are ranked 31st, and over the last 4 games, they're ranked 32nd. It's a great spot to target, and I think if this game gets really going, it's because the Bears are able to strike first, and then Dallas kind of counters. Dallas has been a little bit more balanced offensively than what we have expected. So I think the Bears may have to try to push this pace a little bit for this game to really get going wild. But 50.5 total, I mean, you got to have some interest. And it's also our 2 highest quarterbacks here. So there is some game theory going on here that if you take this game out and then just play the slate, you have huge leverage on the field with that. So there is some aspect of that you may want to consider, but I definitely like this game, and I'm definitely going to be playing Caleb and Dak. Now let's talk about Dak. He's on the other side. Both of these guys, are very reasonable priced with huge ceilings. Dak has been playing great. Versus Philly, he played great, but he just didn't really do all that much. And then last game obviously went nuts with that fourth quarter just getting absolutely wild and big play after big play. But this Bears defense looks awful. It was good last year. It is not good this year. They're allowing 238.5 passing this year, but with 3.5 passing touchdowns. Just a wild, sorry, I might have to sneeze there. Just a wild number, allowing that many passing touchdowns. Now, a lot of that is because Detroit just went absolutely nuts on them, and JJ McCarthy had that huge fourth quarter. But that's like 5 very, very bad games in a row, or quarters in a row, versus the opposing quarterback. So I definitely think you need to like Dak, and he's very interesting. I like this game from a game stack perspective. If it gets going, it could really blow out everybody else. And so doing full big game stacks is an interesting way to attack this game at high ownership and just have a little bit leverage, because you're getting to some different pieces with so many pieces in the game. Definitely interested in both quarterbacks, and I'm going to have a decent amount. I might have both at 20-ish%. Next, we got Drake May, 5,300, and Daniel Jones, 5,400. Both of these guys are interesting to me. Also, we got a 44.5 game total. It's a 1.5 spread. We have a team in the Patriots who just put up 33 versus Miami's terrible defense. They struggled a little bit versus the Raiders. Still trying to wait and see the real identity to this offense here. But Pittsburgh D has looked awful. To start the season, they're allowing 256.5 passing yards a game and 1.5 passing touchdowns. They're also allowing the quarterback to rush a bit. Over the last 4, the numbers are a little bit better, but still very, very bad. This season, they are ranked 28th in the opponent quarterback rankings. So Drake May firmly in play here, big ceiling. The issue that I have with Drake May is really a Patriots team issue. Stacking partners are kind of questionable. You have Hunter Henry, can definitely go there, and you're not giving up much, at the tight end position going there. So I don't mind that. But I don't love going with a 3-man Patriot stack being Drake May and 2 pass catchers. Just the wide receivers they have aren't that great, and really only one needs to get there. And if Drake May rushes a touchdown in there, then that kind of solves the problem. So I like Drake May, but I'm probably sticking to smaller stacks when I use them. And then I bring back on the Steelers side, because I do think the Steelers need to be scoring a little bit to really push Drake May to get those rushing yards and really push the game a little bit. On the other side, we got Daniel Jones and the Titans. I mean, he's the number 2 fantasy quarterback right now. He put up 29 and 26, and last week's 26 was versus one of the best defenses in the league, or we think it's one of the best defenses in the league. Now, you get Tennessee, a tough defense, and it's at Tennessee, but they can totally go into Tennessee and punch them in the mouth a little bit. Tennessee is a solid D, but at 5,400 with his rushing upside, I think there are definitely paths to this game going over the 43.5 total. If I'm playing Daniel Jones, I'm also definitely bringing it back some Tennessee players. I think there is paths to, say, Pollard's success or some of these receivers having some success. Now let's get into some pivots. We got to talk about Carson Wentz first. He is only 4K on DraftKings. This Cincinnati defense is awful, and it's been awful dating back to last year. They're 25th, allowing 1.9 passing touchdowns per game, 253 passing yards. Those ranked the bottom of the league. They're allowing a ton of pass attempts, and so far this season, it's pretty much more of the same. 280 passing yards per game, 2 touchdowns per game. I think you got to like the spot for Carson Wentz at the minimum when you have guys like Justin Jefferson there and Thielen, Naylor. There are some weapons, and going this way versus the Bengals is huge leverage on what is going to be likely super chalky Jordan Mason. While I love Mason, what happens if he doesn't score a touchdown and all the touchdowns come through the air? Then you have huge leverage, and I think you got to consider some Viking stack with that. Now, Justin Herbert and Bo Nix. These are ones I kind of want to talk about together because they're similar situation. We got a game total of 45.45. Both offenses are very good, and the Chargers are going a little pass heavy, playing a little quicker than we expected they would coming into this season. Marion Hampton is probably going to struggle once again to get things going against this Denver front. The Denver front is decent. That secondary is decent, but Denver takes some chances, just like the Chargers do on defense. And with that, there's the chance of big plays. Herbert has been great so far this season. They're way over expectation as far as their passing, and Herbert gives you, 3-4 extra points on the ground with his rushing. I love the spot for him. Now, I don't like a ton of one-offs in this game. I think there's a very good chance this game underwhelms and doesn't play up. But what we saw last year, 34-27, 38-16 in two different games. So these game flows can be wildly different. And if we are going to one of those faster game flows, stacks make sense, but it could easily be, the 23-16 type game, and the one-offs just don't really get there. So I like Herbert. I like Bo Nix, but both of them I'm probably playing more as stacks. And Chargers, Broncos pieces, I'm not going to get to too much if I'm not stacking them. Then last but not least, I feel like we got to talk about Marcus Mariota. He's 4K. He is going to get the start. I was high on Jaden Daniels passing props coming into this. I had hoped that he was going to practice on Friday, as they did say earlier in the week. But unfortunately, or fortunately, if you're a Commanders fan, they're taking the conservative approach and sitting him. So now we got Marcus Mariota in a spot where the Raiders rank 26 in passing yards, 26 in pass attempts. And while Mariota isn't as good of a rusher, isn't as good as a passer, there's still some upside. He is bare minimum, and he's going to give you rushing upside. If this man rushes for a touchdown at 4K with whatever passing volume he gets, very, very good chance of him being optimal. Don't mind going that way. We've seen him in this system before versus Dallas. 56 yards rushing touchdown, 161 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. Versus Carolina, 34 yards rushing, 205 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. He knows the system. He can work in the system. The Commanders don't have to change the system. It's not a bad spot whatsoever. The game total, it's just that situation where we need that Bears and Cowboys game to fail. And then this game total's right in line with everything else. Just as good of a chance to go nuts. It's one of the faster games of the week as well, so I don't mind going that way. Over on to FanDuel, the high-owned here, we got Bryce Young, Caleb, and Dak. No surprise, Caleb and Dak are there. Looking at Bryce Young, I am totally out on Bryce Young this week. One, Atlanta's defense has actually been a little sneaky so far to start the season, allowing 162.5 passing yards per game. They are rated 5th versus the quarterback so far this year. The other aspect is Carolina's missing many pieces of their offensive line now, and Bryce Young does not do good under pressure. He is likely to be under pressure here. I don't like Bryce Young at all this week. Don't really like the Panthers at all because of that. And I don't really love the Falcons pass catchers either, because I just don't see this game blowing up. There's no reason for Penix to come out and just start slinging it. They're going to be able to win on the ground like they have been. So I'm out on Bryce Young. Now, getting down here, we haven't talked about Baker Mayfield, and we absolutely should. He has been an absolute stud. At 7,900, I don't mind to go there, but I just don't see the ceiling outcome for him this week, and thus I'm not going to do it. If you want to, fine. I think the ownership's just getting a little bit high there. And then let's talk about Kyler and this San Francisco 49ers game a little bit. I think this is an interesting spot for Kyler and for this game in general. It is another, late game here that we can pivot to if you don't want to keep riding with the chalky Bears and Cowboys game. But what have we seen in this matchup? We saw 47-24 last year and a 24-23. Both games going well to the over of 44.5. Now, one thing I have to say is that the teams aren't, or the 49ers at least, aren't as explosive as they have been in other years, but still interesting. And then we saw this game against in 2023, 29-45. We have seen a lot of points from these two matchups. I don't totally hate it. There are paths to this going nuts. Pearsall breaking one, CMC breaking one. Arizona can absolutely throw the ball a ton, and they have, playmakers. I don't hate going to Kyler, but I also don't totally love the spot. It is one I felt like we should talk about. As well as absolutely nobody's doing it this week is paying up at quarterback. Now, one thing here, the Rams D is solid, but the Rams can put up a fight against the Eagles. Last season, they played them twice, 37-20, 28-22, two big game totals. And the Rams will take chances on defense. And with that, it's going to put A.J. Brown into some single coverage situations. Hurts may be able to take some chops deep. Don't hate going that way. I don't totally love using Hurts, but it is a way to flip the build this week and get a little bit different. All right, let's get on to running backs over on DraftKings and keep this thing going. All right, Jordan Mason obviously is going to be the high-owned running back today of this week. I wouldn't be surprised. We have met 30%. I wouldn't be surprised if he's 40-ish% when the cards flip over. And he's in a good spot. I mean, Cincinnati has allowed 83 yards a game rushing, then another 55 yards receiving. They're 31st versus the running back. Tons of reasons to want to go here. The one issue I see is a lot of the points that running backs versus Bengals have got is receiving. And that's just not what Jordan Mason does. 2 receptions for 8 yards, 1 for 7. He can do it. He just doesn't excel at it. You don't see very many games where he's able to break a run off or a pass off to really get it going and move the needle. So what happens, he becomes rush only. You're just expecting him to get into the end zone. If he only gets in once, he's probably not killing you. He needs to get in twice to kill you. So if you want to fade him, that's all you need. You just need him to only score once. Because if he puts up that big score, you can get that somewhere else. If he scores twice, you might be buried. But there is definitely going to be some leverage in not playing him. I'm going to play him without a doubt, but I'm going to be cautious of how much I have him because I don't mind getting a little different somewhere else. There's plenty of running backs I like this week. Next, Bijan Robinson, 7,900. We got a 24-point projection, 3.1x. Value is better than Jordan Mason here. I think Bijan is just in an absolutely amazing spot here. He crushed them last year, going for 26 and 34. 2 games, 2 huge scores. And this defense, once again, is terrible at stopping the run. Over the last 4, 156 yards per game on the ground and 0.8 touchdowns. This year, 110 on the ground, 0.5 touchdowns. They're still bad. You can still attack this Carolina defense on the ground. My only worry here with Bijan is it could be kind of like last week where they get out to a big lead and they lean on Tyler Algier a little bit because they can. Tyler Algier is good. What if he gets 2 touchdowns instead of Bijan Robinson? I like Bijan. The chances of him going for 30 plus are absolutely there. He could put a score up that you had to have. I'm going to have a lot of Bijan. Also might have a little bit of Tyler Algier. CMC at 8,200. This game is one that we like, and therefore I got to get some. His scores have been solid. 2 games of 22 plus with Mac Jones. He had 6 receptions for 52 yards, and it does look like Mac Jones is going to start again. Brock Purdy is questionable, but they came out saying that it's highly unlikely he would start. So you're looking at a Mac Jones game here, but absolutely fine with going with CMC. The workload is going to be huge. He had 31 touches game 1. Game 2, he had 19. I would expect him to be more in that 2022 range, but it's plenty of touches for him to do his work. Bucky Irving is also interesting as the Jets have got gashed on the ground. Don't hate going that way. Now, let's get into some pivots. We got to talk about JT. JT has been one of the best running backs in the league now for the last 5-6 games. He put up 33 last week, 165 rushing yards, 50 yards receiving. He had 27 touches and a tutty. Now he's going against this Tennessee defense that's got gashed on the ground, 121.5 rushing yards per game on the ground and 1 touchdown per game. JT's getting pretty much all the work. I definitely like going his way. Javonte Williams. All right, last week I said I'm kind of out on Javonte. He's not going to kill you. He was a chalky pick, and that's pretty much what happened. He didn't kill me from not having him. Still had very good lineups, had other places I can get him. Now he's coming a little high owned in the game everybody wants. So I think there is leverage in going with him. What if the touchdowns come on the ground, Javonte bangs 2 in, and then he puts up a score you had to have? This Bears team is awful, and Dallas has actually been pretty balanced because Javonte has looked decent. I mean, 16.5 rushes per game, 75 rushing yards, add in 21 yards receiving. He's getting in the end zone. You could definitely do worse, and I like the leverage of going Javonte. Jaylen Warren, he's in an interesting game script versus the Pats, and Aaron Rodgers came out saying they want to get him the ball more. Another thing that I do think is interesting is the Pats have got gashed through the air, which is where Jaylen Warren will likely do his best work. So at 5,500, I have some interest. He put up 17 last week. We could probably get a line somewhat similar, not 80 yards receiving yards, maybe 40 yards receiving, but he bangs in a touchdown, and at his price, it makes it work. I do got to say, though, that I like paying up at running back a little bit more this week than not. Saquon Barkley. On paper, it looks like a bad matchup. They're only allowing 84 rushing yards per game, not really allowing receptions, haven't allowed a touchdown, but look what Barkley has done versus them last season. 26 carries for 255 and 2 tutties. 26 carries for 205 and 2 tutties. And that's not even counting the, 74 receiving yards he had in those games. 2 of his biggest games of the year last year were versus the Rams. The Rams take some chances. They'll send some people. And what that does is it opens up lanes for him in the secondary to break one. We know Barkley can break big ones. And with nobody's going here, with the history of what he did versus them last year, I think it's very interesting to go that way, especially with the fact that Rams can actually put up points to try to keep up. Not likely they do, but I think it's an interesting way to go that is going low owned. And then Kenneth Walker, we got to talk about right now. I I would have some interest in him or Charbonnet. Charbonnet is doubtful. It does not look like Charbonnet is going to play. So I would expect Kenneth Walker, when that news finally comes out that Charbs is out, to jump up in ownership. Now, I do have some concern. And the reason being is while he is a great player, part of the reason they're not giving him a ton of workload is he's had this foot injury and they have said it's still lingering. So I don't know if they're going to just lean in and give him, 70% of the work. They still might only give him 60% and bring in their RB3 for some of that work as well. So I do worry about that, but this game script is absolutely great for him. He's at home. He's versus Saints D that has got beat up a little bit on the ground, and they could just be running all over the Saints team. So there's a path. Be wary of what his ownership ends at, but I think he is an interesting play. Couple more here to talk about. We got to talk about Bill. Jacory, Krosky, Merritt. Eckler's out. There is a little bit of, I don't know what happens in this situation. Is it McNichols that just steps up and takes that Eckler role and Jacory has his similar role? Mind you, even if he has his similar role, it's fine because if they are ahead and if they are running the ball, it's going to be Jacory getting it. In week 1, 10 carries, 82 yards, and a tutty. Even if McNichols is taking over Eckler's job, I still expect Bill to get a little bit bigger of a workload. Now, I think there's also a path where we see 15, 20 touches to Jacory as they're not going to run quite as much with Jaden. They're going to call more designed runs, and I think Bill is going to get that. And if he is getting overlooked, I'm kind of interested in having some shares, especially more so on a site like FanDuel, where, it's half point per reception. The touchdowns matter more. DeAndre Swift, same kind of thinking as Javonte. If the touchdowns happen on the ground, there could be a big game and leverage. Should also note that DeAndre Swift is questionable. He popped up on the injury report today. If he is out, Monangai might be in a solid spot there. And then Tony Pollard at 5,700. The workload has been huge. Game scripts have been awful. If Tennessee can keep in this game at home where they're only 4.5 point dogs, there's paths to Tony Pollard doing well. The one issue here is he hasn't really been involved in the passing game. He has 2 targets so far this year. So you're really based on, touchdowns and yardage, kind of similar to Jordan Mason, but in not as good of a spot. Now, let's get over to FanDuel. Check out high-owned running backs. We got Mason, McCaffrey, Bucky, Javonte. Pretty much all guys we talked about. So let's get on to wide receiver on DraftKings. High owned. CeeDee Lamb, 26% owned. It's versus the Bears. The secondary is awful. He's put up multiple 20 games so far, and I would expect that to continue. Hopefully he gets his first touchdown of the year. He gets a touchdown with these type of games. 24 targets in 2 games, and it's that kind of you got to have it score. Definitely possible. He's been better outdoors, and that Bears secondary is toasted. Keenan Allen, 4,700. He is super cheap. He's done very well so far this year. My only issue, he's 5 for 61. He's 7 for 68. Targets have been decent, 17 in 2 games. Nothing bad. But you take a touchdown off that, and he's kind of meh. And at 4,700, if he gets, 15, 17 again, it's not going to kill you. Now, the secondary for the Broncos is good. This game has a wide range of outcomes. If I'm playing him, I either probably have Herbert or Nix in the lineup as well, and I'm stacking them. I don't really care to do one-offs of this game too much. Might have a couple, throughout my lineups, but I'm going to try and limit how many I have. JSN 6,500. Man has been a target monster, 23 targets through 2 weeks. He's in a good spot versus the Saints at home. We also talked about Sharp's injury and the health of Walker. I think there is a path here where, they want to limit Walker's touches. They don't totally want to go to their rookie back, stepping up in that RB3 spot. And because of that, they just pass a little bit more. There's absolutely pass to that. And with that, I think JSN is firmly in play. The other aspect here is this is one of the faster games of the week. The Saints play at a very fast pace. They throw out a lot of plays out there. So many game stacks here, I don't mind whatsoever. Now, Rome, 5,300. I mean, I've loved him the last 2 weeks. He paid off big time last week for us with 7 for 128 and 2. He was my highest owned wide receiver this last week. And I don't mind going here whatsoever. Once again, I do have to say, I don't mind pivoting to DJ Moore or for the CeeDee Lamb aspect, going to Pickens. Those two can break, huge plays, and that just speeds up the whole in-game environment. So I think those two guys are key to this game to really get nuts. All in all, though, I mean, everybody in that game you have to consider. All right, pivot time. I talked about Wentz already being great leverage. Justin Jefferson is just a play off that. This Bengals D is not very good. Wentz, we're talking about a former first-round pick. He was, loved in Philadelphia before confidence went, and he just totally couldn't get it together. Kevin O'Connell's been very good with the backups. I don't hate going this way and go Wentz, Jefferson. There's definitely upside, and if nobody's going there, I'm intrigued. Puka is interesting. In that Philly game, we could see it go wild. Puka and Adams are both just targeted an absolute insane amount, and I think you need to consider both in a game environment where the Rams are probably throwing a ton. Nico Collins versus Jags. Jags D is not very good. Nico also finally has another wide receiver there to take some of the coverage off. Christian Kirk is there, which I don't mind. That is a value play if you want to go there. But this Jags D has been rough. And while Nico hasn't been the greatest, he did get 9 targets last week, 3 for 52 and a tutty. CJ Stroud missed him on a wide open touchdown another time. There's past 2 huge games for him. Pickens kind of covered with Moore and with Rome. I absolutely love the Pickens play today. This week, I think there's giant upside. And we know that huge game from him is coming. It's loading. We just don't know when it's coming, but this game environment's one of those ones where it could ignite. Jamar Chase is just similar to Justin Jefferson, where he went nuts last week. 16 targets with Browning. If that target share is there again, there's the ceiling. My issue here is this Minnesota D is very solid, and that could just limit Jamar Chase getting going here. But I don't mind a little game stack of Chase and Jefferson coming back, because those two can ignite the fuse. We talked about DJ, talked about Kirk, Calvin Ridley. This is one of those few games that I think could go nuts. And Calvin Ridley, we have not seen it yet. He only has 14 targets. At some point, the Tennessee Titans are going to open up this playbook for Cam Ward. And we already have seen him be aggressive, but the play calling needs to get aggressive. If that happens, and it happens this week, there is a potential blow-up spot here. So I don't mind having some Ridley. And then Dontavian Wicks at 3,700. Hate this game environment. Browns D is solid. Packers D is amazing. Browns probably can't move the ball. Packers will struggle to run a little bit, but they will keep running because they'll have the lead. So there's going to be low volume here, but we're talking about a $3,700 player that the Packers now also don't have Tucker Kraft, or likely won't have Tucker Kraft. They are without Jaden Reed. You got Matt Golden, who is a rookie and has yet to really show up. And then Romeo Dobbs, who's solid. He's going to run a ton of routes, going to be out there a ton. And then you have Wicks, who can create separation. He's getting targets, had 6 last week. I don't hate the play. The Packers are going to have to score somewhere, and I think Wicks is one at 3,700 that could have a big game. Don't hate it. Now, let's get over to wide receivers on FanDuel. Just look the high owned. Steedy, Moore, Adunze, JSN, Nico, all guys we talked about. I think you also can throw out Debo in there. Likelihood is that Debo is a better play than McLaurin this week, just due to the fact that it is Mariota and he's not likely to throw as deep. It's going to be shorter intermediate stuff and just keep moving the chains type situation. And the Raiders have been gashed. Don't hate Debo. If he breaks a big one, he can have a huge score. All right. Tight end action. Juwan Johnson, Jake Ferguson, Tyler Warren. Juwan Johnson, 2 16s in a row. The workload is huge. Think you can absolutely consider him. And Seattle really hasn't been good against the tight end yet, allowing 54 yards per game and a touchdown per game, ranked 32nd in the league. And Juwan Johnson is really the second piece. It's Olave, Johnson, and then Shaheed. But Shaheed can break any game open. So I think he's another guy you can consider here. Ferguson, it's the game we want. Makes some sense to have the tight end. The only thing with Ferguson is he just rarely gets in the end zone. But when he does, it's a huge game that he's capable of. Tyler Warren, 4,400. He is questionable. If he is out, the other pass catchers for this Colts team look a lot more interesting. We got a guy here that has 16 targets, and he's a playmaker. They're going to him often. I absolutely love this play if he's playing. I'm going to have a lot of Tyler Warren. He might be my favorite tight end of the week. And then I think we got to talk about Trey McBride. I don't like playing San Francisco tight ends or against San Francisco, but 11 targets last year, 9 targets. So 20 in 2 games. You go to 2023, he had 11 targets when he was the tight end 1. That is 3 games of him getting 10 plus targets or averaging 10 plus targets. I don't mind going to McBride in this game. There's big time upside. The only thing with him is, can he get into the stinking end zone? And then Njoku, I think there's a big time likelihood that Flacco and co have to pass the whole game because they can't get anything done on the ground. And Njoku is a tight end that can make it happen. I just hate that game environment, and I don't foresee the Browns scoring more than 2 touchdowns. So there's a slim margin there. Now, defensive-wise, let's check tight end over on FanDuel. We got McBride, Henry, and tight end is pretty wide open over there on FanDuel. Defensive-wise, we got Seahawks, highest owned, Packers, highest owned. Those two have huge ceilings, makes a ton of sense. Arizona at 2,900, I don't love. Our projection does like it. I don't mind it getting a little bit. I don't mind getting some cheap defenses and taking a chance. And I think the Vikings, you need to consider going against the Bengals backup and also Falcons. Talked about the offensive line situation in Carolina, how they're missing so many guys. Falcons D has been sneaky. Carolina is going to have to pass, 40 times probably. With that, sacks, interceptions, all of those chances go up, and a big outlier score chance goes up as well. They hit 21 last week. It can definitely happen again at 3,200. I don't mind going there. And that will do it for us today, guys. Wrapped it up. Whole week 3 breakdown there. Hope you guys all have a good one. And we will be back with more next week. There's one more NFL show coming out this week for our underdog picks. Stay tuned for that. It'll be out either early this morning or tomorrow. Thank you guys. Please come join us at LineStar. Come try us out. 7 days free. Gets you the app. Gets you everything you see here on the website. We'll talk to you all later. Have a good one.